Alright, so we got a question about hate heavy attack builds. If you're just looking for a build and you want to know what a decent example of a meta build is with no other consideration in terms of frame or anything, this is a decent build. I'm having polarity problems because I use a quick attack with this weapon. Obviously, use a max rank killing blow. Do not waste an Umbral Forma on this build. There's another weapon called Reaper Prime. If you want to do a heavy attack, do a heavy attack build on that one. It's a way better. Alright. So if you're just looking for a build, you're out of here. Alright, let's talk about some alternatives. In order to get a heavy attack build going on the hate, this is literally all you need. Damage, crit chance, crit damage, and a faction mod. Reason being is both stances, so if you have either stance, even if it's Stalking Fan, if you have either stance, you have a forced heavy attack slash proc. So we don't even have to worry about status chance. Just build to boost the proc itself, and the things that matter is base damage, crit chance tier. So with just True Steel, if we take it off, we go to 30. With 1, we gain 36 crit chance. If we want to do a heavy attack, which is what this build is, we would add another 36, which would bring us to 102. So, guaranteed proc of a crit, which is solid, with a very small chance of getting an orange crit. The next thing that matters to Slash is crit damage. And this is a very readily available mod. I am skipping Gladiator Might for now. And the other thing that matters is faction damage. There are 2 other multipliers to be considered when doing a slash build. Is there's viral status, which boosts your damage done to a health pool, which is exactly what slash is. So even though we're not using a conditional mod called Condition Overload, viral will still boost our damage. So we will be priming. So we're going to get our bonus damage that way. That being said, the other thing to consider is body shot multipliers. So say you accidentally hit the head. Because this is a forced crit, you will then receive a 6x multiplier on your damage. So let's see what our damage is. Oh, and to keep things cheap, I did a compressor. Very minimal build. Without the Forma, you should be able to fit this onto a unformed compressor. Though to be honest, as good of a primer as this is, if you don't have a new core, this is the second best as far as primers are concerned. It allows you to get viral, corrosive, and heat on the same weapon. Though to be honest, the only thing that we really need is viral. The big deal about it is because we're so limited in damage, the armor shred from heat and corrosive are very high value, where normally we would be trying to stack a dot for heat. With this build, all we need is 1 heat proc to get the armor shred. So, easy enough. And let's see how the damage is. We'll start from scratch and we'll build up. Alright, 217,000. Easy enough to do Steel Path with, though that was a headshot, but just to sort of prove a point, this is really all you need to do damage. Everything that I'm going to do to the weapon now is quality of life and straight up stronger mods. So just to be clear, that's all that's going to happen from now on. Everything else takes advantage of these 4 mods and something that adds an additional multiplier, and we're going to be messing with the initial combo to give us another multiplier for heavy attacks. So we're just going to do straight upgrades. Pressure point, sacrificial steel, organ shatter does the same. And prime smite Grenier. Okay, all we have done is literally picked the better version of the mods that we already had on. Alright, and we one-shot it. Hold on. Not that one. Alright, so it's a one-shot. I can't even see the number. Alright, 111,000. But I'm pretty sure that was a body shot. Alright, 62,000. $62,000. Now we're not getting headshots. So if you were to compare it to the other one, which is 200,000 and change, right? You would have to multiply the 62,000 by 6. So about 50% more damage. Makes sense. Obviously, it would do a little bit more. But just for a bare bones basic build. So we have these multipliers plus another one. And the reason why we equip Corrupt Charge is because we're using a heavy attack build. We don't care about combo duration, so we're going to sacrifice combo duration to get 30 initial combo count, right? Now, why this is important is it gives us a 2x multiplier on our heavy attack. If you look in the bottom right, we will permanently be at 2x, which will give us a very nice multiplier. Oh, hold on. Got a prime. Alright, 222,000 and 74,000. Even with the follow through. Let's just do one this time. Alright, 222,000. So doubled from one mod. Makes sense because the 2x heavy attack multiplier is a 2x multiplier, right? So double damage. So what else do we have? With Sacrificial Steel, it gets us to where we were before, almost. Before heavy attacks, and then heavy attacks are added on top of it. Ooh, pardon. So we go from 30 crit chance to 96% crit chance for an increase of 66. If we want to figure out what our crit chance is, it's a little bit of math. So it's 30 plus 66 gets us to 96. Then we add 66 again, and it gives us 102. Or sorry, 162. So we're guaranteed a yellow crit. And we have a 62% chance of getting an orange crit, which is a 40% damage increase. So what else can we do? Well, more crit damage, and we'll see how that does. Slash loves crit damage. So we're going to add this. Our crit multiplier goes from 4.3 to 6.3. Sorry, 4.8 to 6.3. So it's not a 1-to-1 increase. All right, 163 on a yellow. So we're at 300k now. Right? So 300k is a really solid slash tick for a quick attack build. So how do we make this stronger? Well, we're running out of mods that deal with these multipliers. This would be the scenario where like a Riven comes in. So one of the things we can do is if you have like some modding space, or you're not going to be using a mod at all, one of the popular ways of adding pure raw damage is to run double sack set and conditioned overload and the rest of this if you're not worried about range. It leaves you with a little bit of space. Not a big deal. But more importantly, our crit chance bonus, or our crit chance, goes up even more because of the sacrificial set bonus. And then we get bonus damage, and now we're one-shotting. Okay, hold on. Alright, so 191k orange raw damage hit. So this would scale your build even more. Now, one of the things that I personally like to do, and this is due to a new mod, is on the frame, I actually have just a Mars Anguish equipped. I don't have anything anywhere else. This is like it's an Exilus mod slot. And I use this as sort of like a generic alternative to Prime Sure-Footed, because Nezha obviously doesn't need Prime Sure-Footed, right? So for a speed build, got a nice high sprint speed. This contributes to that. But if you look at the passive, teleport to a target within 10 meters on using a heavy attack. If you do not find this animation annoying, or the teleporting function, hold on. If you find that okay, then do that. It can get a little disorienting at times, but the 10-meter range doesn't feel as bad as 30 meters. Because 30 meters is a significant AoE range, like the amount of reach that you have. It seems a bit much, but the 10 meters isn't like horribly disorienting, especially for heavy attack builds. So what other multipliers do we have? Well, now we have to deal with applying heavy attack slashes further to increase our range so we can heavy attack more enemies at once, or we could heavy attack more often. And this is actually going to result in us taking sacrificial pressure off, because we already have something that deals as a base damage increase, and it adds additively with sacrificial pressure. Well, if you see sacrificial pressure, it's 137% melee damage and faction damage to sentience. So half the reason to run this set isn't even here, right? So sacrificial is gone because prime pressure point gives better raw damage. So this leaves you with two conditions. You don't mind priming, or you do mind priming, or you just want to go have a bit of fun. You just want something that does decent slash and a relaxing experience. If you want to just pick up and run and have fun build, skip the condition overload and just take prime pressure point, because prime pressure point puts out more damage than condition overload, up to three statuses. It requires a third status for condition overload to beat prime pressure point. So food for thought. This is a conditional. These would be interchangeable. But in order for condition overload to really sing, you have to prime, because we're trying to one bang something. So condition overload isn't going to be able to proc off of the weapon's own status that it's procced the first time, right? It doesn't self-prime on the same hit. It's on the second hit that you'll get the benefit. So for one hit damage, prime pressure point's the way to go. And more importantly, sacrificial pressure is 110% melee damage. Prime pressure point is 165. Even when you combine them to get the set, the crit chance going up is super nice for sure. But the base damage is still lower. So we'll stick with this for now, because running double Umbra is very expensive. So now we have our final issue. Pardon. If you aren't running that teleport mod, or you don't have it, you're kind of in a bit of a spot that forces you to pick something. If you don't have this and you don't have the teleport, you kind of need to do range. And this is going to end up with a sort of rearranging the build a little bit. Corrupt Charge is going to stay, so our top row is set. Base damage, crit chance, organ shatter, and a faction mod. So we're still buffing these. Each of these categories. So one of the other options is, if we scroll down, you see the wind up. This becomes an issue because it's 1 second. And then if we scroll up, we have attack speed at the very top, 0.917. So the issue becomes our attack speed plus the wind up. And I'll show that. There's two functions to a heavy attack. There's the pullback and then the attack. Pullback, attack. Pullback, attack. Or charge and attack. So charge, attack, charge, attack. It's two parts. So there's two ways to deal with this. One sort of frees up a mod slot, but you lose base damage. We have this mod called Killing Blow. Plus 100% melee damage on heavy attack, plus 60% heavy attack wind-up speed. This damage, the bonus damage, is additive to prime pressure point, because you can see how much it went up. If it was multiplicative, it would multiply the base damage that we had, the 3657. It would multiply it by 2.2. But that's clearly not what's happening. It's going off of the base damage, is what it's growing off of. So these two don't interact with each other, but then they get their percentage bumps off the base damage, and then you add everything together, the three parts. They don't boost each other. So we have this option, and this is something you get kind of early in the game, to be honest. So you might have this. So if you have this, this is an option. Corrupt Charge, you might not have. If you don't have it, don't equip it. Okay? And if you don't have Gladiator Might, don't equip Gladiator Might either. I'll go over plenty of variations based on whatever you have, but you're going to equip the best version of the mods that you have. So if you don't have Prime Pressure Point, use regular Pressure Point, or get used to priming. If you don't have Sacrificial Steel yet, hey, maybe do some quests. But True Steel is also an option. It's literally your only other option for a heavy attack build. Because think about it like this. Like, you might mention Blood Rush, but Blood Rush at 12x gives the same crit chance bonus of Sacrificial Steel. So it's either get Sacrificial Steel bonus all the time on quick attacks, or get it immediately every time you heavy attack. So it's kind of how you gotta do it. Pick one. There are indeed a couple of exceptions where you would run both. But for a pure heavy attack build, you wouldn't. Especially on this weapon. So let's look at the damage that we got so far. We have Prime Pressure Point, Sacrificial Steel, Organ Shatter, a faction mod, Gladiator Might, and Corrupt Charge, and Killing Blow. So our damage should go up. But it's not going to double this time. It's going to be much lower. Alright, we're at 474,000. Getting pretty substantial. So, the other way to increase your heavy attack damage is literally to add more base damage. You basically have two options now. The wind-up speed, because of Killing Blow, went from 1 second. It took off 0.4, because it's a 60% wind-up attack speed, plus 60%. So it takes off 40%. Because it's, hold on. So it's a rate issue. So if it takes you 1 second to do a 1 second attack, it becomes 1 divided by 1.6. So it's rounding down, right? The other way, if you remember what I said before, the other way that we can increase the amount of damage that we do is by increasing how many slash procs we do. One of the ways that we can do that is by adding attack speed. Because remember, that's half of the equation on how fast you attack. You heavy attack. So you can spam them more. Now, this is purely to taste. You're going to equip any attack speed mod that you have. The best ones start at Fury, then you go to Quickening or Gladiator Vice, then you go to Berserker Fury or Primed Fury. I would say Primed Fury if you're not having polarity issues. Right? Like that. Get a nice quick attack speed. And this will not cause you to hit harder, but it will cause you to hit more often. Prime again. We got all three stats. Alright, 330,000. Pardon. 965,000. $154,000 on a body hit. The 1 mil was a headshot. All right, 237K On a slash tick. It was a yellow one, not an orange. So the damage would be like 40% more, right? So 300k, 400k, nice round number. So this is one of the ways you can increase it. One of the other options, and this will give us even more damage, is to nerf our attack speed a little bit. It's not a big deal because remember, it's attack speed and the windup, right? We need a little bit of capacity on this build. But then we're going to add in condition overload. Okay? So what this is going to allow us to do is prime stuff, and on a conditional, this is completely up to you whether you want to do this or not, is going to allow us to boost our damage even more. So we're going to use the compressor again with our final build for pure heavy attack damage. But we're not going to call it a build yet. Okay, we got our 3 procs. 184,000. $560,000 on a headshot. $283,000 on a yellow. If I orange crit something, it's just gonna die. Alright, 234,000. So that's a yellow crit on a body part. So no headshot multiplier. The 234,000, if we hit something in the head on the slash tick, would be 1.2 million. Right? So there's room if you get good with headshots. And a headshot would be this. If you want to know how to sort of aim it. If you see I'm standing like slightly off center and I'm aiming here. So you prime. Oh, I was too close. It takes a little bit of getting used to. Is this an overhand? You have to... I think I'm too close. Hold on. So off to the side. Nope, that was closer though. Alright, it's not gonna give it to me. But you can see from the arch, and you just line it up with that. The first attack is significantly easier. And the heavy attack is going through there. Actually, let's do the mark and see if that fixes it. Maybe I'm hitting body armor. It's a really tight angle. Especially on Grenier. Nope, I'm hitting body armor. It's a little easier with the shorter guys. But that's give or take the angle. I would suggest if you're doing heavy attacks, give yourself a nice color. Like a lime, like a teal or a lime green. Something bright. Not necessarily white, but maybe like a yellow or a bright green off the corpus color palette. Make it easier to see where that blade's going. You'll be able to see the motion that it's making, and it'll allow you to get those headshots more. I'm super familiar with things like the Guandao, like the Twirling Spire stance. It's been a minute since I've used the Reaping Spiral stance. But that's the trick, and you just sort of learn where it is on your monitor. And the headshot, as long as you position the head, give or take in that position, and you're close enough, you'll hit the headshot. So this would be a pure damage headshot build. So what other considerations do we have? If you notice, there are a couple things different about this. I didn't include this, and we haven't talked about range yet. And it is one of the deciding factors. So if you notice, we've doubled up on crit damage. It's kind of because it's what our build is, right? So one of the ways you can further increase your effective damage, right? Your effective damage is by adding range to a build. I mean, it's no secret. You hit more stuff at one time. You do more damage, right? So we don't have the capacity. Prime Reach would be a good option. I've been getting away with using that Exilus mod, Amar's Anguish. But if you're looking up a hate heavy attack build, you might not have this. Because that's a much later in the game item. So you might not get the luxury of not using Primed Reach. Or Reach. Because that mod teleports you within melee distance every time. So you don't have to worry about teleporting or hitting something, because it puts you literally right in front of it. So you might end up having to run this. That puts you in basically a lose-lose situation with Corrupt Charge. I'm missing it by a little bit. I would have to form one of these top ones. But Corrupt Charge would go right here. And this would be a well-rounded heavy attack build. One of the other options is more attack speed. So because you're killing with slash procs, you can actually afford to run Berserker here. It's going to hurt you the first time, but it will massively speed up. It will give you 30% more attack speed over quickening. And because you're going to be spamming heavy attacks anyway, you kind of don't care about it. Obviously, it's going to hurt the first time, but once you get kills, who cares, right? You're going to be at 75% most of the time anyway. Pardon. Alright, so let's do a group. And this was with our more generic build. So when we start out, 20s, 30s, getting 17s, right, 37k. Got a 46. 17k non-prime. 34k. $89k, 214k, 188k, $66k. It's a little all over the place. Obviously, we took a bit of a hit in the slash dot department, but with this, we'll be able to hit more enemies at once. So it's up to you. And one of the other options, I didn't include it with this, is Amalgam Organ Shatter. It's a small crit damage hit. If you notice, regular Organ Shatter brings us to 4.8. Amalgam Organ Shatter brings us to 4.6 crit multiplier. One of the things that this does is it lowers our windup even lower. And we can almost attack twice as fast. So 76k, obviously not the best, obviously something to consider. This is one of those times where Riven is really helpful, because you saw how low our damage was without priming. It was like 17k. So let's do the prime pressure point one, because you would see the difference between having 3 statuses on when it's primed versus when there's nothing hit. When nothing hits, it's 17k. $87k. 110k on prime pressure. 44. It becomes about the same. It's more consistent, because the big difference is here, right? So 73k, 13k, that 73 was a headshot. 41k. 123k, that was of course a headshot. 36k. 3622. So it's up to you. Condition overload scales with as many statuses as you can dare to put onto something. And a lot of those hits were without corrupt charge. Alright, let's simulate that now. And have this be our final thing. So all we're going to do, if you look down in the bottom corner, I'm going to get this to 2x. And then I'm going to prime something, and then I'm going to heavy. Alright, 256,000. $63,000, 22,000. And 400k, that was a headshot. Alright, 119,000. Again, a solid slash build. Really generic. If you are... Whoops, not that. If you are looking for a place for a Riven, the most likely candidates is to get rid of Killing Blow. Like CCCD, melee is your god roll for a heavy attack only slash build. And this weapon does have okay disposition. It's a 3-star out of 5. So it is susceptible to pretty decent Rivens. Obviously, CCCD base damage is going to be quite costly if you try to plat for that, if you try to whale for it. But the weapon on its own is level cap capable. Like, if you're thinking about doing a heavy attack build, I would say think about doing the Reaper Prime. It's just better. The stat that you want, the crit chance, is higher. And that's really all you need, right? crit tiers and crit damage and base damage to get those slash procs as high as possible. But this is an example of a really well-rounded build. Obviously, you would try to roll off, because you're doing heavy attacks, you could potentially roll off Berserker Fury, put the Riven here. Anything over like 50% attack speed, I would say is fair game. It's a decent trade-off, especially if you have good stats on the other side, right? So, it's food for thought. If you run base damage and it's anything over 120, Killing Blow goes away, right? The heavy attack wind-up speed only knocked us down 0.1. So, Organ Shatter, right? 0.5 to 0.6. So it's really up to you if you're running Killing Blow. Maybe you feel comfortable enough not running Killing Blow, and you'd rather have a crit damage mod here, go double crit damage, and rely on Organ Shatter. Like, you could do this, because it only hurts us a little bit. This would definitely be an option. Obviously, swap those appropriately. And I guess I can show the damage of this build. Alright, so we're at double crit damage. We lost a bit of base damage, but we gained crit multiplier. So let's see how it does. This will actually scale better, believe it or not, when condition overload is involved. So 156, obviously not bad. And that would be an option depending on what you have. But the standard go-to build, honestly. Oh, hold on. Would be something like this. And if you really wanted to sneak a little bit more crit chance on, and you have Gladiator Vice, you could do this also. Or maybe even... No, that doesn't make up for it. So, this is an option also. If you find yourself auto-attacking a bunch, and you think your combo is readily staying above 2, this would be an option also. But again, if you like priming, condition overload is the way to go. But if you just want to have a good time and go around and smack stuff, prime pressure points it. So this is your generic build by process of elimination. I hope this helps, my dude. The heavy attack builds are all basically the same, except for things like a Stropha, which is essentially the same thing. Prime pressure point, Killing Blow, Sacrificial Steel. Hold on. I'm sitting here telling you what it is, and I could just show you. It is a pretty expensive build. Yeah, this one. Yeah. For a big corrosive. Don't bother with, like, trying to fit armor strip on here or attack speed. You're just trying to bop something as hard as possible. The base on it isn't too good. Right? So 58k, and it's an orange, not a big deal. But then as soon as you prime, the damage spikes, right? $1.7 million. I don't know, man. If you're trying to do a heavy attack, I'm not gonna lie. The Strophe is kind of the name of the game, my dude. I would say give this a go. It's the heavy attack champ. So, food for thought, hate. But now that I've explained the heavy attack builds and process of elimination, how to like get down to it, and like the alternatives, now that we've gotten to this point, build yourself a Stropha instead. And just prime. The damage is so much nicer. Anyways, food for thought. I hope you all like it. Little bit more lighthearted, but I'll end it here. I hope this works. Hold on. Who was the person that asked? Oh god. Mugen 4869. It's not showing user IDs, but it was a good question. Simple enough answer. There's the base build. Obviously this one's for the Stropha. Hold on. So here's the base build. And then you go from here. Just upgrade when you can. It's not a big deal. So, by process of elimination, we started out with this. Came up with a couple of alternatives. It just basically ended up being a mirror. Probably because I did that intentionally. But those are a couple of alternatives. Obviously, the forma issues, if you want to put into it. Do what you gotta do. So there you go. Build yourself a Stropha. Anyway, take it easy, guys. Have a blessed day.